Hi, in this video I'm going to show you an introduction to referencing, why we do it, how it's done, and a few tools that can help you along the way. So basically, plagiarism is why we reference, and plagiarism is a big no-no within academic circles, within college courses, school courses, universities, but also writing academic papers, scientific journals, all things like that. And the reason it is because you're protecting yourself against somebody saying, well, you've copied someone else's idea. So this definition here, plagiarism is the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as their own, one's own. So what you need to do when you're writing an assignment or a piece of work, because you get your information from books and from the internet and various other sources, you've got to be careful that when you write something, somebody doesn't go, well, hang on a minute, I've seen that written somewhere else and you copied it. You're saying that's your idea. It's perfectly fine to talk about someone else's idea as long as you give them the proper credit. So that's what the rest of this video is going to talk about. So this is an assignment I've done on a course about maths and biology. The subject's irrelevant, but it should have references in. And there's a few different ways you can do the referencing. There's different formats and then different ways you can write it in the text. So we'll start with this one, this top one. Here in the highlighted section I say, a curriculum is a plan for learning. Now the sentence would read, not including the brackets, a curriculum is a plan for learning which is a suitable plan, blah blah blah. However, inside the brackets you can see that I have a name and a year. The name is the last name of the author who said what I've just said, and the year is the year they said it or wrote it, or they were accredited with it. So the first way you can reference is by paraphrasing. Tabor in 1962 did not say word for word, a curriculum is a plan for learning. However, he did say words to that effect. So for me to say that out loud, people go, well, hang on, someone else has said that. So I am acknowledging that Tabor said it. Now, you write what you need to write and you reference them within this bracket. This bracket means it's not read as part of the sentence. But if I go, oh, that's interesting, I can go, oh, they got it from Tabor 1962. And that's the first way, the first thing you need to know, that when you write your assignment, that there is an in-text citation where you credit them as soon as you say it. What happens then is at the end of your work, so Tabor 1962, remember that number, at the end of your work, you'll have a reference list. And the reference list will be in alphabetical order. And if we go down here, you'll see in highlighted, I'll put it at the top, Tabor 1962. So this is in more detail where this quote was from. Okay, it gives the title of where it was from, where it was said or published, and various other factors. Depending on the journal you submit, or the university you're at, or the college you're at, or by the persons marking it, they will have their different criteria of what goes into this part of the referencing system. Harvard referencing will have certain variations, APA will have other variations. This is just a general guide video to explain, so make sure that you do check with whoever's marking it or wherever the work's going. So that's Tabor, and that's a basic way of doing it. Not a basic way, a straightforward way. The other way you can do it, but you have to be careful of this, is that you can directly quote word for word what they're saying. So if they've said something that's like the survival of the fittest, or a term that's quite famous, you would put it in quotation marks. And after the quotation marks, you would then put the person's name in brackets and the year. So Smith said the process model is more like a cooking recipe. I can't really paraphrase cooking recipe, so it is a direct quote. Again, you go to the bottom and you would find Smith. Here it is, where I got it from. This one you can see that I got it offline, and here's the link where I got it from and the date I accessed it. So it has all these information so people can check up. You're not just restricted to papers and books. I have one here that's from a government report, the Equality Act 2010. You can use it in different ways. You can you can pretty much reference almost anything. But when you go to higher levels of academic work, it should be peer reviewed, which basically says that other people have checked it and it's not a load of nonsense, because anybody can write anything. The other way you can reference within your text is, rather than making the names like here, Bruno 1961, in brackets so they're not part of the sentence, if it makes more sense to say the person's name in the sentence, well then you can. So here, for example, I say, I would suggest that this is an area that needs to be addressed, perhaps drawing on Prensky, who identified learners as either digital natives or digital immigrants. In this sentence, I don't put Prensky in brackets like the previous references. I'll show you, because it wouldn't make sense. Here now it says you'd read the sentence as perhaps drawing on who identified learners. That doesn't make sense. So you just put the year in brackets as long as the author's present. So now I know to go to Prensky, and that if they have more than one paper or reference in my reference list, I'm going to Prensky 2001. And there they are. Okay, so that's like a quick overview of how it looks in a text. There's a few online tools you can use that will help. Different people like different ones. It's not cheating. Sometimes the online tool might make it not the way your tutor wants it or the paper, so you have to tweak it a little bit. But they are good starting places, and they store them. They store a lot of references. The first one I'll show you is RefMe. I've never personally used this, but I know a lot of people have. Here you type the title of the book, or the author, or the website, and so on, and it will generate the reference for you. It'll generate like this reference for you, and then it's up to you to write your citation correctly in the text. Another one is Neil's Toolbox. It's quite a popular one. It's been around for a fair few years. I originally started using it, but for some reason that I can't remember because it's that old, I started using a different one. The one I use is Cite Me. So if you type Cite Me in Google, it comes up the top hit, press the hit, and you end up with this kind of page. Sometimes circles come across the top icons to give you an explanation. So what you do here is you can go to book, and you could type in the title of the book or the author or whatever book you've got it from. Here I'll just say On the Origin of Species, and you can search it, and it'll search is other people who've referenced the book online will be here. Now I use this book because there's lots of different variations of it. Nobody's going to reference the original one. Well, they might do, but it's an expensive book. So if I go to here, Charles Darwin On the Origin of Species, I could decide that's the book that I have read. If not, like I said, you can find it manually here and edit it manually. So if I click the book, this isn't On the Origin of Species. This is Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species, book about it. But here, what it gives me is in Harvard, because here it's selected as Harvard, you could change the kind of reference style you need, but in most British societies you use Harvard. It has my reference here that I'd have in my reference list, it has the author's names and the year and the title, where it was published, and so on. But it also has the in-text citation. So here is what you would have in the text. So this bit you would have in your actual text, and this bit you would have at the end. Okay. You can then do different ones, and it will save them all, and you can then select download to Word or just copy and paste them. So if I'll reference this URL, give you a good example. Reference a website I've come across. Remember, you should be using peer-reviewed websites. Auto site, again, you can add manually. The program works out what it is. It doesn't know the author because it hasn't seen it on the page, so you'd have to find out the author, maybe scroll to the bottom of the page. Let's say I find out the author's me. It tells you the date you've accessed it, where you've got it from, the title of the page, and you can add the reference. And then once the reference added, you're now getting this list. You can annotate the references, delete them, select which ones you want. And what you can see is you can copy and paste them, or you can copy and paste all of them into your work. So we'll click copy and paste. Oops, that's for a little survey. I think I prefer not to answer. Here now is I would just copy and paste this reference. It's done it in alphabetical order. I've done it in the correct format that I wish. And I could just copy and paste it and stick it at the end. As long as I've used the citation tool correctly within the text. Now, like I say, that's a quick introduction, but it hopefully gives you a good visual aid of what references should look like and a couple of ways of going about it. Your college or university should produce a PDF or some kind of documentation saying how they want theirs or which version of Harvard they want. But like I said, this is just an introduction. Okay, thank you very much.